Hi everyone, good evening. Welcome to our webinar. So I am Diovana. I'm an expat buying manager here in Eindhoven. I live here in the Netherlands for about 13 years. In Eindhoven, I believe 11 or 10 years. I moved in 2009. I have two children. I rented a place. I love a place. I rented it by 15 before I bought my house in the Netherlands. I bought a house, I sold it, I renovated the house before, of course. And after all, I bought another house, a very old one, and I renovated completely. So I just want to put it out there that I have been where you probably are looking for the house. I was just a bit lucky that the market was not so crazy like it is today, but we will help you through it and maybe make your journey to your first home in the Netherlands easier. There we go. Let's get to know you. We have a little poll. Let me see. Yes. I will launch the poll. We will have about, I would say, oh, sorry, Ludo, do you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Maybe that's, you know what we can do is launch the poll, and then while they are filling it in, I can talk a little bit about who I am.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. That's how we're going to do that. You have about, I would say, the time that Ludo has to introduce himself to fill it up the poll for us. Then we know how things are going with you and where you found about us. There you go. Yes, Ludo.
Cool. Well, everyone is taking the time to fill that in. My name is indeed Ludo. I'm a buying manager in the Amsterdam region. But also places for around Amsterdam. Well, not very relevant for this webinar. But if you are deciding between Eindhoven or Amsterdam, then it's going to be either Diovana or me. Been within the company since 2020. And have now been also spreading our knowledge within the webinars for Amsterdam and other regions. I'll be indeed helping with the Q&A. So my question to you is, if you do have a question, put it in the Q&A so we can gather them everywhere there. And if you have other things to mention, please put them in the chat, but then we can divide a little bit both and keep an eye on it. If there are any questions where I think, hey, that's good to save for the end so that everyone can hear their question, I will do so, and otherwise I will already answer them in the Q&A accordingly.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. You gave them time enough, I believe. I guess I will end the poll. Yes, I'll end the poll now, and then we can continue with the presentation. There you go. Here we go. So what we're going to talk about it, a bit of introduction, we already did it, some market info, market drivers, savings, 3 tips to win them in the market, and the whole buying timeline. Greatness is the achievement and the agents of others. Of course, we really believe that we are able to help people and find their own home, that we are caring is sharing. Oh, the other way around. So sharing is caring. So we do believe in that. And that's why we're doing the webinar, to let you know all the steps and how to win a bid in this market and feel more comfortable with the whole process. This is our team, our HNN team. We have people from everywhere that speak Dutch or some other language. So they also bought a house and rented a house and sold houses. So they'll be able to help you through the whole Netherlands if you need so. Let me make a small brief about HNN. We are not the traditional real estate agents. We do help people with buying and renting a house. We don't have houses for sale, so if that's why you're wondering. We charge also a fixed fee. We have no commission, so you can buy a house from 200 until well, 5, 6, 7 million. It's up to you, of course. And the price, it will be the same for everyone. And of course, we know, because we're all expats, how is the feeling of settle in a new country. So we know what the whole process looks like. And I think that makes a huge difference. What adds value, what our company and us can help you with it. When you send an offer, selling agents take offers much more seriously when it comes from H&M, from an agent. They know that we have done our homework and we know all the risks in the offer, and our clients know how it goes. We can sometimes book viewings when it's no longer possible. I'm sure most of you already called any houses and they told you that they were completely full, that you couldn't book it anymore, but they sometimes do have spots only for agents and we're able to book them for you. We support, of course, reviewing all the Dutch legal documents. I do speak Dutch, so if you are there trying to learn Dutch, don't give up. You will eventually. Might take a little bit longer than you think because the language is not the best, the prettiest one in the world, but you will end up learning. But we do going to go through all the documents with you, the Dutch legal documents, and most of them will be in Dutch. You might have an English version that explains a little bit, but not unless you pay for it, of course. We help you define market value through market data. That's a very, very, very important thing. We will explain a lot about this and further in the presentation. Inform you about all the rules and regulations. Of course, there are different kind of types of properties with different regulations, and also the cities also have their own regulations for property, and that also makes a difference when you're buying. And you make sure you don't make the same mistakes we all have made already, of course, because we've been where you are. And that's, I believe, the most value that we add in your process is that we actually care, that you feel at home, that you find a property that's something that you really like it, and not just because you need to buy a house. Where are you in the process? Would you like to know what have you done so far? So we're going to do another poll, very quickly one. Ludo, would you like to say something now?
Always perfect moments to well, fill up the air, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, for now, I don't have much to share. I think it's highly appreciated if people do take the time to fill in the poll a little bit, just so we know where you are in the process, and maybe we can adjust the webinar a little bit to your well, to which phase you are in. So if everyone is still in the orientation phase, we know how to point towards that. But if the majority already has submitted an offer, we can look a little bit towards that side.
Oh, there's someone that got an offer accepted.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, that's very nice, actually. Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah, very.
It's getting more and more difficult in this market as well. So that's
really
a
good thing. Yeah, definitely. Someone already did an offer. Nice. And researching, yeah, that's good. Okay, we're gonna go further. Some market info. There are some changes this year in the market, which I believe there are good changes regarding some regulations and also about price. Some numbers for you to know beforehand. This is the average price for the Eindhoven area is quite high, 438. So it ended up, 1 second, let me go. Yeah, exactly. For the Eindhoven area, 438, and went up very, very high. The 334 to 438 is quite a high number, and that happens not just because, of course, the market went up quite a lot last year, but the year before, but before the overbidding, because of the overbidding, of course. People are paying way more than the market value. We all know that, and that makes the price go even higher. Let me go further. So these are the market figures in Eindhoven area. You can use this for Eindhoven area, all the small villages around, the cities around. I would say it can go even up to Den Bosch or so. So if you're looking around there, in Tilburg as well. Tilburg tends to be a little bit more cheap now. Not now, but for now, because people are going around, so you might be able to find houses that are a bit cheaper there, but this is more or less for you to have an idea how many houses were sold last year, 679, and then you can see that's much less, 40% less than the year before. The average price, the price per square meter, and then in the average, how long to get a house to sell a house, about 21 days, which is quite fast. Houses do move fast in this region, particularly in the Netherlands. Of course, Amsterdam is a huge market as well. But I guess for the size of Eindhoven, it's insanely crazy how fast they can sell a house in our region. So here you can have an idea and some numbers about the market. Some market drivers. What caused the price to increase? Fiscal benefits, of course, tax exemptions, the 2% that you don't have to pay if the house, if you buy a house, if you are younger than 35 years old, if it's your first house in the Netherlands, if the house is up to 400K. Interest rates, rebates, interest rates are quite low, although they are going a little bit up. We're going to talk about it a bit further, but they're not going that much anyway, and it still is the lowest interest rate in many years. Tax-free parent donation, that it will be ended maybe soon. Do you know when it will end it, Ludo?
Yes, this is actually the last year that it's possible. So at the end of 2022, this will end. Actually, it doesn't have to be just from a parent, but it's a tax-free donation from anyone really, up to 100K. So if you do have someone that is planning on giving you that money, buy a house this year.
Yeah, good advice. Low interest rates, of course, it is very low. I had a client a few weeks ago who bought a house up to, I think it was 340 something. It was with NHG, and the interest rates were 0.9%, well, 90%, which was very low. So that also makes the market goes insanely crazy. High rents, we do know here in Eindhoven that is ridiculous high. For 25 to 35 square meters, you pay almost 1,500 already, and now it's getting more and more higher because of the amount of people that are coming, and of course the lack of supply. We all know the whole Netherlands is a big problem, but I do believe that in our area is even higher because of the whole high-tech compose, ASML, Philips, and all those jobs there that we have over here. It makes even more difficult. So that makes the house market goes even higher, the prices. There are some other things, for example, NHG, National Mortgage Guarantee, the price this year from January, they went up to, you can buy a house up to 355. Last year it was 325,000, and this year is 355. One thing I want to talk about NHG is that you have to understand that this has to be the purchase price. This has nothing to do with the asking price you see on Funda or any website from other real estate agents. It is about the completely price. So let's say you see a house of 345 and you offer, I don't know, 360. And then the price that the final price of the whole deal with your overbidding, with everything, it has to be 355 for you to be able to have NHG. So be aware of that, because I had questions before and people that misunderstood that before. So be aware of that. Also, self-occupancy obligation is changing. We put a link over there so you can check afterwards. I have a lot of people who want to buy it and maybe rent it in the future. So things will change soon, and in Eindhoven is a bit more difficult to understand that. A lot of cities is about only the WOZ value. One thing about the WOZ value is the value that the city hall will give for the house. There's nothing to do about the market value. It's just to charge you the taxes, sewage taxes, property taxes, and water taxes. There's nothing to do with the market value. So from April, more or less, we don't know for sure yet, but it should be in April. The properties, the investors are buried from buy properties that have a WOZ value up to 350. But in Eindhoven, it's a bit different. It depends on the street, depends on the house, depends on a lot of things. So that's why we put the website over there, so you can check what if you have an address already, if it's on Funda, you can check what are the self-occupancy obligation and what can be will be for that specific house. For now, it says that from April on, you have the obligation of to live in the house for at least 4 years. Of course, if you sell the house, it's different. And let's say I know I'm going to get this question: if you can rent the house after 2 or 3 years. Yeah, yeah, that's something you need to check in the link, because there are different rules for different villages around, for Eindhoven area as well, even for different neighborhoods in Eindhoven, and even for different streets in Eindhoven. So I can't tell you what is going to be after April, but for now, it might be possible. So just so you know, interest rates are to rise. We see, everybody probably saw in the news that they are going up a little bit. I believe they went up 0.03% or something like that, 39% or something, which is not much. It's still very, very, very low, so it's still a good time to buy, and we're not expecting that it goes very high like it was before. So in the next years or so, if they want, and also there's no talk about impact on the market. It might be even harder now that people want to buy even faster, so they don't go up and they still get the same privilege of a very low interest rate. So just so you know. But if you click in there, when you get the email, you can see articles about it. You can read a bit more. And if you have questions, just send us an email, send me an email. We can talk about it. I can explain even more, or just put your questions now. But if afterwards, if you have more questions after you read all those articles, let me know, please. Wait a second. There you go. What would you need in savings before you start? So that's very, very important questions. In the Netherlands, you were only able to finance the value of the market value of the house. You cannot finance anything else. So you need to have about, if you don't need to pay the 2% transfer taxes, which applies only for people that are younger than 35 years old and are buying a house up to 400K, you need to have around, would say 4 to 5% of the purchase price. So that's the calculation that you need to do. If you don't have to pay the 2%, you can calculate 3% of the purchase price. And if you need to pay the 2%, you need to calculate around 4 to 5% of the purchase price. That's what you need to have in cash to be able to buy a house in the Netherlands. What is it included? Is the transfer tax, the notary, the bank or the mortgage advisor, the real estate agents. Most of them, they will charge you around 1 to 2% from the purchase price. As we said before, we have a fixed fee, so that will be a little bit less in this math. The appraisal, that's the person who's going to make a valuation report about the house. That's mandatory for the bank. You also need to pay that. Inspector, interpreter, if you don't speak Dutch, it's also mandatory to have one at the notary. Bank guarantee, that's also something that's mandatory, will come in your purchase agreement. And if you use any HG, house up to 355, then you also have to pay one-time fee to be able to have that mortgage. And then you can see there what is tax deductible and what is not tax deductible. So bear that in mind. 5% from the purchase price if you don't have to pay the 2% transfer taxes. So the important thing for the people who are want to send an offer: 3 tips to win the current market. So it's all about value, right? So we're going to talk about, in this case, for this property, the asking price is 395. What I want to put it here, that's something most likely the price that you see on Funda, the asking price of the house, it's not the real market value. So as I said before, you do need a valuation report to be able to have a mortgage in the Netherlands. It's mandatory. There's nothing you can do without it. You won't get it. The bank will need it to be able to approve your mortgage. So since the market, who can give you the report? That report comes from an appraiser that you normally send after you get an offer accepted to the house. We like to send, in our case, before, right after your mortgage get accepted, of course, but not so long after. But before you send the offer, it's very important that you do a price research to know the real market value, since the Funda value is most likely in an Eindhoven area to be lower than the market value. So for example, you can see this house 395 was the asking price, and then the market value And then because a lot of people talk about the overbidding, needs to be 10-20% of the asking price. So look at this case, 395, and then the house was purchased for 435. Okay, and then after you paid 435, an appraiser went to the house and told you that the actual market value is 415. So in this case, you didn't pay 10%. You pay only 4.8% of the market value. The asking price is something else. So what will the bank give it to you if you have the budget, of course? The 415. The rest, the difference between the other 20K from the purchase price, because you did pay 435, you do need to pay in cash. So this is how you need to understand how the market value works. The Funda price is one thing, market value is something else, and the bank will need the valuation report exactly because of that. And most of the time in Eindhoven, the market value is much higher than what you see on Funda. Although in Amsterdam it's really, really high than what you see on Funda, and Eindhoven we are walking in that direction, I would say, but just for you to have an idea how the value works. We have something else here. Asking price again 375. Oh, wait a second, I put it. And then market value of 415. Oh, I didn't change the value here. It was supposed to be another value, I believe. And then you have the purchase price as 435. So you see the big difference. Of course, you always need to understand that, again, if the evaluation give you 415, you go and you pay more than that, you have to pay the difference in cash. A winning offer. What you need to be aware in the offer when you submit an offer. Offer a good price, of course. It's not always the highest price. Offer security to the seller. What is that? Is that you need to have good conditions that protect the seller and protect yourself, of course. Offer the least amount of hassle and offer a personal touch. It's always nice to tell the seller why you're buying the house, who are you, talk about a little bit of your story, where do you work, what kind of a contract you have, if you have a partner, the same thing for your partner. That makes a really big difference in offer. A lot of people been working and doing what I do, being a selling agent. I see that a lot of people, included the house I bought it for myself, for example, we did win the offer because we had a very nice letter explain about our family and everything. We did not have the highest offer. So the people that were the owners of my house, the previous owners, they were very sensible. They wanted someone that would be raise their kids like they did and those kind of things. So that made a huge difference. And I know you're probably thinking this market, it doesn't matter, but it does. We see often those things happen. What we mean about offer a good price. For example, if you go on Funda and the house costs 300, and then someone already knows that the real market value is 330, it doesn't matter if you offer 300, you're never going to get the house. So you need to be aware of the market value. That's going to make a difference on your offer. Offer security to the seller. The seller wants to know if you can pay, of course, the mortgage. If you can, the 10% bank guarantee will be in the contract anyway, which means that if you don't get your mortgage accepted, or not if you don't get a mortgage accepted, because you have to be without the financial clause. But for example, if you get a mortgage accepted, but then the other day you decided that that house is not for you anymore, you have to pay 10% of the purchase price to the seller. So that gives him security. So that's why you need to pay attention, and of course protect yourself. There is the financial clause that we see very often. A lot of people not signing the financial clause, but not because they knew about it or they understood what the risk, but just because they didn't know about it. So you have the financial clause, and then, or if you have without it, be aware of all the risks that if your mortgage gets denied, you do have to pay 10% of the purchase price to the seller. Those are big things that will make our offer a better offer, of course. Due diligence. Let's see. So those are the people you will meet after your offer gets accepted. So the technical inspection, what do they do? The technical inspection, it is if you buy a house that is older, I would say 30, 25, 30 years old, more than that, and they never did a renovation. Or if you look at the documents of the house and the documents did not give you enough information about it, that's very important. Always when you make an appointment to go to a house, ask for the documents of the house. Those documents will contain, there is a questionnaire in those documents that's very important. If it's a building, it might not have the questionnaire, but it will have other kind of documents. But there you can see what they did in the house and all those years that the house were there or the apartment, and if it's necessary to do any more maintenance. For example, if they had, with all these storms now, if they had leakage or those kind of things, those should be in the documents. If you think that's any red flag, that's a good sign. First, ask the selling agent, of course, and see if you have an agent. If you have me, if you have my colleague Ludo, we will solve that out for you and ask all those questions. But if you don't, ask the selling agent, ask some explanations before you send an offer. If you send an offer with a technical inspection, that's after the offer gets accepted, it's time for him to come to the house and look every inch of the house. And they will take pictures and they will look at it and tell you. Always go with a technical inspection to the inspection, because then you can also ask your questions about it, and he will tell you what it needs to be done to fix it, specific things in the house. So that's very important, but only if it's necessary, of course. I will give you an example. My house is from 1906. But we did renovate the whole house about 3 years ago, completely. The only things that are the same, the roof is the same. We didn't do anything with the roof. Everything else is new. All the cables, all the pipes, bathroom, toilet, floor, wall, everything. So I would say in my case, in my house, if the roof, it looks okay, and it does because it's not so old, it's not necessary to do inspection. But if you go to a house that you see that plenty stains, water stains, those kind of things, then most likely the technical inspection will be something that you would like to do. After I would say even before the inspector, the appraisal, that's the person. Remember I told you it's mandatory for your mortgage, you need someone. So that's the person who will give you the real market value of the house. So which that report with his value, and that will be the amount you're going to get as a mortgage if you have the budget, of course. A lot of people bring the appraisal after they sign the purchase agreements. Please don't do that. Do it before you sign the purchase agreement. Because if something goes wrong, you're only going to have 3 days cooling off after you sign the purchase agreement for him to show up. And if something goes wrong, he doesn't, or it takes him too long to give you an answer about the price, you might be in a very big trouble. So bring those people before you sign the purchase agreement. Who else? Do you book them before? I already said before or after your offer accepted. I always say you have your offer accepted, and immediately let your mortgage advisor or the bank knows. If you have an agent, he will know, and most likely he will book it for you. I would say book it right after you get a mortgage accepted. They might have, because it will take around, I would say, 1.5 to 2 weeks max for you to sign the purchase agreement. So you need to bring those 2 people in there before you sign it. So then everything is clear and you can sign with no risk for you or anything. So here you go, offer accepted, and then you have, I put it 1.5 weeks because I would say a few months ago, I think we had a slide that says 2 weeks, but I see more and more and more that the agents are pressuring the clients to sign the contract as soon as possible. Verbal agreements, saying that you got the offer without having a signing contract doesn't give you the right to keep the house. So that's why they also, for the sake of the seller, they want to sign the contract as soon as possible. So in 1.5 weeks, you need to have everything done. The appraisal and the technical inspection. Also, I find a notary for you to be able to do that. Will do your transfer deed and your mortgage deed before you sign your purchase agreement. And then you sign your purchase agreement. And that's a tip that I will give you, people. Pay attention to that. That's a good one. Never sign a purchase agreement on Monday or Tuesday. Always sign on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday. Because after you sign, you have 3 working days. So no Saturdays, no Sunday will count, or any holidays, to just get out of the deal without paying any penalty. You don't have to say anything. You just have to call them and let them know you don't want to buy the house anymore. And you don't pay anything. Of course, you would pay those people that have been in the house already, the appraisal and the technical inspection, but you don't have to pay any penalties. So yeah, just pay attention to that. So that's why I always tell people sign on Wednesday, because then you have actually 5 days just, sit on it, think about it, everything is fine. In the meantime, you're going to get the valuation from the appraiser, and if something comes wrong, let's say you offer 350 and the asking price was 330, but you need to finance the 350 because you don't have the difference in money, and then the guy comes and tells you that the house is only worth 315, it means that you're not going to be able to finance what you want. So then you can pull out of the deal without paying any penalty. So that's why the 3 days is good for you to, think about everything. It's your right by the law. It will be in the contract, so we are protected. That's a timeline. So for the people who are still searching, looking through Funda or all the websites, here it is. More or less you get your offer. After your offer gets submitted and approved, you have the appraisal, the technical inspection coming to the house, 1.5 weeks, signing purchase agreement, and then after you sign the purchase agreement, you send your purchase agreement to your mortgage advisor or the bank, and they start your mortgage application. You have around average 4 weeks. I see that more and more people are having their mortgage approved even sooner than that, so which is good. That gives the seller much more safety. So you have more or less about 4 weeks to get your mortgage approved. When your mortgage is approved, everything will be sent to the notary. The notary will draft your mortgage deed and your transfer deed. And also tell you all about the bad time coming, the payments that you have to do, quite high ones. Remember those 5% I told you? So that's the time when you get your invoices and everything to be paid. And then your time to get to the notary and do your transfer date. You get your keys is a transfer date. Before you get your keys, about 1.5, so before, you go into the house and you're going to do a last inspection together, normally with the seller, your agent, the selling agent as well. You walk around the house has to be in the same state as it was before, it was when you saw the house. So after you sign the purchase agreement, the seller cannot change anything in the house anymore. He can fix things that might break in the meantime, but he cannot change anything, for example, layout or anything. So the house has to be in the same condition. And also you're going to take pictures of the water meters, gas, those the utilities that it needs to be in your name. Today I had a transfer and we had to take pictures of the solar panel equipment and everything because it needs to be transferred to the name of my client. So those are the things you do before you go to the notary. And when everything is done and you agree with everything, of course, you and the seller and the buying, the agent of the seller, the selling agent, then you sign a last inspection report. It will be sent to you, to the notary, to your agent, to the seller, and then you go to the notary, and then it's time for you to sign your purchase agreement and your mortgage deed and your transfer deed, and then you are the owner of the house. Then it's yours. Don't remember to have house insurance by the day you go to the notary, because from that day on, the house is your responsibility. That will be in your contract. So it's set in your mortgage and your transfer deed. Also your mortgage deed, because if something happens, the bank will want to know who's going to fix it, right? Because they are borrowing you the money. So have your insurance all done a day before or so. Yeah, and then you get your keys and it's time to move in the house. We always tell people there is about 2 months of liability. What is that? Is that you move in the house. What I tell my clients is use everything. Turn all the heaters, the air conditioners if you have it. What else? Hot water, everything you can use in the house, the dishwasher, everything, to see if everything is working. I would say within the few weeks, with the first weeks already. And if something goes wrong, then you can talk to the selling part, to the owner, and see what can be done. Remember, the house is your responsibility from day one. This is a very gray zone. You might have very nice sellers that will come and fix something for you. You have people that won't care at all. And by law, well, there is not actually a law here, so you have to pay attention to that. But most of the time, it should be okay, because you saw everything before. There was the house documents and everything. So you know, and if you did a technical inspection, you also know what you need to fix it. So you don't, you cannot ask the seller to come and fix afterwards. So just pay attention to that. This is our package in our company that we have it, that we can help you with. Complete package, smart package, also for people that have maybe want to buy a new build. There's also a different package for that. So you can get in touch with us if you want to know more about it. As my colleague Ludo said, in the Eindhoven region, I'll be the one with another colleague to help you out. So feel free to contact us if you need anything. And good luck with your search. No, but we're not. Let's see. We're going to put the intake. If you want to do an intake with us, please feel free to book an intake with me. It's free. If you have questions or anything, I would love to help you out. And now it's time for our questions. Ludo?
That is my turn. Well, actually, all questions have already been answered.
Oh, that's good.
But if there are still any remaining questions, this is your time to pop them in the Q&A if there are some questions that have been unanswered.
Oh yeah, please. So if you have more questions that you don't remember today, at the end of the presentation or tomorrow or so, you're going to receive an email. You're going to see my email. Please feel free to contact me. I can answer them for you. So yeah. I know it's a lot of information. You probably will watch it again. So if you have more questions in the meantime, while you're watching again or looking at the presentation, please let me know.
Well, in the meantime, we did get two more questions. I have a question from Rita. The question goes as following: how can we know that certain rules apply for different districts or even streets in Eindhoven?
You have to consult you need to have the postcode of the house, the address, complete address, and then you go to the City Hall website, and there you can see all the rules that they have for that specific neighborhood.
And the best way to get information about the rules and things like that is to speak with Diovana directly, of course. She is up to date with everything, so she'll be able to advise you and consult you within that as well. Then I have another question from an anonymous attendee. This person is switching jobs and hasn't worked for around 2 months. Do you know if it is possible for this person to directly get a mortgage once he starts or she starts working again? Yes, it is possible. As a matter of fact, I did bought my first house on the first month of probation on my job. So it is possible. It all depends. But that's something that I will give you the answer. That's okay. But please consult a mortgage advisor as well, because I'm not one. I'm not a mortgage advisor. But what depends on the bank that you're going to do your mortgage. So that's why it's important to talk to the mortgage advisor. There are banks that don't accept it at all, and there are banks that do accept it. I remember when we did ours, for example, I had to change the way, and also we were also changing jobs. We were already in the Netherlands, so that was easy to get a mortgage approved. Once you just arrive it, and that might be a little bit more difficult, but there are other institutions that will give you the mortgage anyway. So that's why I always tell the clients, consult a mortgage advisor and not just the bank. I know a lot of people go directly to ABN, for example, or ING or something, but it is best if you talk to a mortgage advisor, a third part, a mortgage advisor, because they do have connection. They have, they can consult around 42, 34, 38, 42 institutions, different institutions. And then that's how you find the best way, the best mortgage for you, not only going to the bank. And also the first talk is also most of the time for free, so you can talk to them and have more information about it. But yes, it is possible. If you people don't have a mortgage advisor, never talked to one, please send me an email. I have a little list of people that I work for myself, for example, to do my mortgage, and people that we know a long time that we work together. I can send you their emails and telephone numbers, and then you can contact them as well. But yes, it is possible. Perfect. Thanks for that. Then we have a question from Bruno. Is it possible to use income from abroad, like salaries or rental revenue, to get a mortgage in the Netherlands?
Yeah, that's also a tricky one. It is possible. It happened before as well, but depends on the country. Depends on the country. If the country has an agreement with the Netherlands, it is possible. Well, actually depends on the agreement. If the country is, for example, Italy, it's a bit more difficult. Then it's not possible. You need to prove certain things, of course. But I have to say it depends on the country. If the economy is not stable, as the Netherlands, for example, it might not be accepted. But yes, it is possible. We had clients that did it before. It just depends which country you are bringing the money from and how you can prove it. But yes, it is possible.
And indeed, in these cases,
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
You do have to pay taxes in the Netherlands anyway for that to be possible. Just so you know.
Yeah, and in these kinds of scenarios, it's indeed always advisable to, again, have a chat with a mortgage advisor, because the rules change a lot as well. And there might be one mortgage provider that...
yeah, exactly. And change by country all the time. So that's also, that's why it's a bit tricky. But we had clients that did it before, but it really depends on the country.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah. Those were our questions.
Okay. Okay, so I guess I will, yeah, that's it for us too as well, right? I don't think we have we don't have any other slides. So that was our presentation. So yeah, again, if you have more questions, please let us know. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking the time. I hope we helped you a little bit, and we try to make your journey a little bit better. So yeah. Let us know if you need anything else. Thank you so much, Ludo, also for being here.
Very welcome. Thanks for hosting.
Of course.
And well, hope to see everyone that joined us today in the intakes next coming weeks.
Yes, let's see. Yeah. Bye-bye, guys. Have a nice evening.
Bye-bye.